I do want to record and stream it. Oh, crud. Okay. We are... Oh, okay, it is working. I'm worried that, like, once I start streaming, I got a little bit of a delay here. We'll be live in about a minute. Not a minute. In about a couple seconds. Ugh. Delay is up. We should be connected in a minute. YouTube, I think, is a bit slower. And are we live? We are live. We be alive, folks. Okay. I'm gonna wait for like 30 seconds. Or not 30 seconds. I'm gonna go get soda. I'm tired. And I will be right back. Okay. Okay. I went to the bathroom and I forgot my soda. I'm dumb. Oh, my word. Oh, it smells weird. That fridge. Oh, man. Hi, folks. Anyone here? Frick you mean sign into chat? Okay, well, I hope the chat's, like, alive. I hope it's a thing. Okay, wow. Actually good quality. What? What is this? Am I in a dream? Did I get magically teleported somewhere other than my dad's? Did my dad suddenly get, like, cable internet? Huh? My word, I tell you, this microphone is, like, getting on my nerves. It's on a wood pin, so it, like, itches. Okay, guys. Okay, I'm not sure if anyone's here, but I've waited long enough. I'm not waiting any longer. So, normally, I would not do this, okay? I would not do this normally. Like I said earlier in my previous video that I released on this channel, I haven't released it yet. Oh my word, I'm so stupid. Oh my word, I'm releasing it tomorrow. Oh, and I felt the compulsion to do this today. Okay, guys, this is gonna be so funny. I was going to not talk about politics at all on this channel until I had finished talking about, like, my adventures and other such things, because I figured that before I talked about bigger issues, I needed to, like, introduce myself. So, like, you know what I've been through, what I've done, and all that. But I saw something that ticked me off so much that I wanted to go ahead and talk about it. Because I saw this video. Oh, not the stream. Nope, not my document. Yeah, this video right here, Reproducing Disgusts Me by Tragic Reality. This video is fascinating, very fascinating, and I want to talk about it. So originally, I was going to react to it, and I kid you not, I made a nearly 3-hour long video just talking about it. But 3 hours is too long, and I figured I might as well stream while recording, so I can make a video out of this, you know, like, double the content. Here, I can make some more content off of it. But, because, like, nobody's gonna tune into a, like, 2-year-old channel, suddenly it just streams one day. Like, nobody, sorry, I'm putting this over here too far. Nobody's gonna tune into that. They'd be crazy, too. I wouldn't tune into that. Actually, I might just out of sheer curiosity. but I can't expect anyone else to. But I do feel like I need to record this and release this as a video as well. So, I haven't talked. I don't think I've talked a crazy amount about like my views in politics too much on this channel. I know I have talked about them more or less. I think it was a bit infrequently in the past. I mean, maybe it's frequently for some because, you know, a lot of people I imagine on YouTube don't like to talk about politics because it's very polarizing. I myself enjoy talking about politics, and I enjoy the polarization because I mean, I don't like how polarizing it is, but I enjoy a lot of conflict because I enjoy it. I mean, I like some order mixed in. Like I like a balance, but I think I enjoy conflict a little more than is healthy for an individual. And so I enjoy a bit of mental sparring back and forth. You know, I don't really like roasts and all that stuff, but I do enjoy a bit of like mental, like metaphorical like sparring of ideas. A lot of sharpening. I like sharpening my ideas in like a trial by fire against other people's ideas, seeing if mine are correct. And so I was going to skip. I was going to skip over this because reproducing disgusts me. Is a completely opposite opinion to what I have of reproduction. And so I was going to not sign this up, but I was going to like write this off as like a random Democratic propaganda video that like is full of crap and is stupid. But I decided I should hear it out and decide after I'd listened to it whether it was right or wrong. And so I heard it out, and like while I was actually recording that 3-hour long argument, like I rambled too much. I'm a big time rambler, and this is a 36-minute video. So the stream is probably going to be really long, unless I skip around. But this video is kind of fascinating. So I'm not going to watch the whole thing, obviously, because it is a bit of rambling, but actually it's much less rambling what I do. I mean, the guy's probably had more time. I mean, he's got a bunch of subs and stuff. But I'm going to speed this up, and I'm gonna do a bit of like looking around here. Okay, I can't see text. He just walks around the woods a lot in this video. Let's see. Okay. I mean, actually, yeah, we can start right here, honestly. I don't know why the player's having such an issue here. But anyways, let's go back here.
You know, I find it to be a very big coincidence how reproducing and starting a family is seen as such a positive, such a good thing in society. I find that to be a very big coincidence.
What's weird about this is from the very first finished line he has, I disagree with him. Because I have always heard that in like the bigger society, it is looked on negatively to have children. And I mean, honestly, I think the facts kind of support this. At least among the younger population, our birth rates are, I think, the lowest they've ever been in history. So I think this is actually just completely wrong here. And I think that this guy probably is just hearing a lot of stuff from I think this is just a lot of like him hearing voices from the opposition and thinking that it's the norm, but I don't think it's the norm. But anyways, let's continue here. Oh, right. Alright, well, let's keep going.
Now, if you ask me, well, imagine if it was the opposite. Imagine if in society, having kids and starting a family was seen as a neutral thing. Not something that you have to do, not even something that's seen in a positive manner. Just something that's very neutral. Imagine that. Think about that, guys. Do you know what would happen if that was the case, if that was the status quo? If having kids and starting a family wasn't seen as this noble thing to do? Well, I'll explain. What would happen is that there wouldn't be future wage slaves. There wouldn't be future taxpayers. There wouldn't be people working the jobs that we work right now. And society can't have that. So
okay, this is very interesting, because on one hand, he's right. If we stop having children, there are no taxpayers, which, by the way, paying taxes is not a bad thing. Surprise, surprise. But, in America, we obviously are going to be, in pretty much any government, obviously the government isn't going to just take what they need. They obviously take more than what they need, which, governments are corrupt. It's kind of infuriating, but that's how it is a lot of times. But, taxes are supposed to be for the benefit of the people because, the government needs money to work on projects for the betterment of society. Obviously, these days in America, I don't think the government gives two fricks about us, so like taxpayer money. I mean, like, how much good? I mean, maybe we're getting like 10% value back if we're being generous for all the taxes we pay. And, I don't really know too much about it because I haven't paid taxes yet. I am just now, like, this year will be the first time I pay taxes because I am just now, like this year I got a job and all that stuff. And I, like, turned 17. So this will be the first year I pay taxes. But I live in, I think, the highest tax-paying state in the entire country of America. So I imagine before too long, I'll know a thing or two about taxes. But, yeah. He is correct. If we stop having children, there will not be any more wage slaves. The thing is, there won't be anyone anymore at all. So, yeah, it's positive there's no more wage slaves and there's no more, there's none of those bad things. It's not a positive. There won't be any good things, any good people, any doctors that save people from cancer. I mean, there will be no one to save, right? I mean, it sounds like kind of an argument like, oh, let's just let everyone die so no one suffers. But without that, the thing is, without suffering, there is no pleasure. Is kind of the thing here. And, it would be a bit nicer if, I personally, I don't really agree that we should see having kids as a neutral thing. I think it is a good thing that is where it is an expectation. I think that's a good thing. I think it should be an expectation for most people. I think there are some people that are not meant for it. But for most people, I think it should be an expectation. And I'll explain that more as we get further on. But let's continue.
So I just find it to be, a very big coincidence how the thing that involuntarily or indirectly keeps this machine running is the same thing that's viewed as noble. And you'll find that to be the case with a lot of things in society. A lot of the things in this society that's seen as an amazing thing to do, a huge accomplishment, you'll actually come to find out that really it's all about maintaining this machine. But
I mean, really, he talked about pretty much, this is really his subject of the video, so at least I don't remember him talking about any other things, so I can't really say what he's relating to, but I'm sure there's something, and I'm sure, I can think of a couple things he's possibly relating to. I don't think it's as bad as he's stating it to be. However, he is right. If we stop having kids, the machine will stop running. The issue is, the machine is a good thing. Yep, call me crazy. The machine, the machine's the thing that keeps us enslaved, right? You do realize, the people are, we are the machine. We are the machine. And, the idea of a republic is that the people have a certain degree of power. And obviously, in a republic, like what America is, it's not actually a democracy. In a republic, we are meant to have power. We're not. But the whole point of being a republic is that we can't be overtaken by sudden mob rule, or that 51% of the people can't completely bully and overpower the other 49% just by pure majority. And that's why we have districts and other such things. It's all about keeping majorities from bullying minorities. That's the idea of a republic. But it also means that we don't have as much power as we could have as the people. But that is why we are a republic. And ironically, it sounds a lot like what Democrats would want, isn't it? But you know, obviously the government has become rather corrupt. But the thing is, we have power. We do have power in this machine. And we shouldn't be. My conclusion here is we shouldn't be trying to destroy the machine. We should be trying to change the machine for the betterment of its parts. That's what I think. That's my conclusion here. Anyways, let's continue.
More specifically, I'm just going to be talking about reproducing. Now, even if we're not talking about morals, even if we're just talking about a personal preference, I find no reason to have kids. I have no reason to reproduce. I have no desire to reproduce. I have no interest in it whatsoever. And it's always been the case for me. It's always been like that. And funny enough, I actually had a conversation with my brother the other day, and what I told him was, I said, so are you going to end up having kids? Because he's 28 and he's usually been pretty indecisive about this.
Hi, Aaron.
And he said, actually, I do.
I can't imagine why nobody's in chat. I can't lie. Probably no one's here, honestly. I know this channel has a high subs count compared to my other channels, like a double. It's got like 253. The other one, actually, no, it doesn't have double. Actually, the other one's been closing in on that for quite a while. But it's been inactive for so long, I think it'll take a while for me to get back up to the old things. Aaron, this isn't an animation stream. I would advise, like, if you are not, like, prepared to, like, think about politics in here, you might want to not listen to this, because I do have some things that may be offensive to some people to say here. I don't know what your political views are or anything like that, and maybe you're interested, I don't know, but I'm just giving you a bit of forewarning.
I'm like, whoa, what happened there, buddy? Because he's never been that direct with it. He's never actually decided if that's what he wants to do. And I asked him about it. I was like, so why do you actually want to have kids now? And he says, well, because I want to keep my lineage going. I'm sure.
That is a funny thing to say. I mean, however, I do think it's a rather normal thing to want. Like, you want to have kid. I mean, it is a rather superficial thing these days. It is kind of rooted in older stuff, like bloodlines and all that stuff. It doesn't really matter as much. You can, like, adopt a kid and, like, raise them up, and they are obviously still, like, I mean, so long as they aren't, like, if they weren't, like, raised for, like, a super long time by someone else. Like, if you adopted, like, a baby that's been abandoned by its parents, and you raise that child up, you really are more like the child. I mean, you aren't, like, the child's actual, like, mother or father, but you are definitely the child's parents. Like, you are, I mean, I don't know about parents, but I'm not sure what the definition of that is. But you are the people who the child would look up to as their parents, as their mom and dad. And that child can be, like, just as much a son or a daughter as, like, as a child from your own bloodline. Bloodlines are honestly kind of an outdated way of thinking. And I know he's going to say something along those lines. But also, 28, man? Like, his brother waited till he was 28. Like, man, some people die at 40. His life could be over halfway over. Or his life could, I mean, some people die even younger. You waited till you were 28 to finally make your decision and be decisive? You should have made the decision when you were 21. By the way, I guessed this guy's age correctly the first time. I guessed that says his brother is 28. I guessed that he was 25. First guess, perfect guess. My word. I mean, I just had a feeling, man. But if your brother's just now thinking about that, I have a feeling he's kind of, I mean, he's getting I mean, better late than never, I guess. I mean, what can you say, man? Better late than never. Like, congratulations on making the right decision, man, to your brother. Um, although I hope he's actually a good parent, because I mean, I think a lot of people who choose to parent these days do not really know what they're doing. Anyways, I think that's all I have to say for now. Continue, sir.
Sure that a lot of you guys have already heard this kind of answer from plenty of people that said they want to have kids, but it's a very
that did used to be my answer back in the day when I was like really little. Like I would continue my bloodline. That was,
cliche.
I mean, even back then, it wasn't just about continuing my bloodline and like being remembered or whatever. It was also that I wanted to teach someone. I wanted to like be useful beyond my own lifetime. I wanted to be useful to someone else also, even as a little kid. That is kind of how I thought.
It's a very stereotypical answer, and I asked him about it more, and another reason he gave was that he doesn't want to feel lonely when he's older.
Valid.
Okay. I mean, I guess so. Okay, those are your reasons for having kids.
Bad reason.
Now, number one, if we want to tackle the entire lineage thing, that's a completely artificial thing, right? Like, what lineage? It's like these are artificial concepts that human beings have created to make themselves feel more important than they actually are. The reality is,
if he means by
I don't know if you guys can see these squirrels running around through this grass, but the reality is we're just like these squirrels. We just eat, breathe, continue the cycle.
I mean, I don't give birth because I'm a man, but
dude, we create these kids. Gets $1 million if something ever happens.
They are artificial. They are created.
I don't know. It's got to.
But I know that by artificial he means like, oh well, this
you
whole
are really
thing
just like every other one of these animals that goes through the cycle of life and eventually perishes. But of course, human beings being human beings, we have to think that we're more important than we really are. And then we talk about things like lineage, bloodlines, and the funny thing is, most people are not doing anything that's actually impressive to other people. Like my brother, for example. He works in insurance, and you're sitting here talking about lineage. Who cares? You're just an insurance worker. I mean, it's not even exactly about what you do for a living. I'm not saying that's what matters. I'm not saying that if you were to do something more impressive that what you're saying is actually valid. No, that's not the case. Because it's so selfish if you think about it. You're producing another life. You're bringing another life here because of my lineage, my bloodline. It's always about me.
Remember that. I will bring that up later.
That's what it's about. But one thing these people don't understand is that your kid is its own person. It's not you. Your kid is not a reflection of you as much as parents try to make their kid a reflection of them. But no. What parents and people that say this don't understand is simply that your kids are their own beings.
Facts.
So when you come up on here and talk about, oh, I want to continue my bloodline, I mean, it just sounds completely selfish. It's about me. And the thing is, there's a lot of people out there that expect their kids to have kids because they want the bloodline to continue. And it's like, the thing is, we have no obligation to follow in the exact same footsteps as our parents. We have no obligation to do that. I mean, I've already told my mom like plenty of times that I don't ever plan on having kids, right? And I mean, at this point, I feel like she's kind of come to accept it, but I can tell that she's still a bit salty about that. But it's like, what are you going to do about it? Go cry about it if that's what you want to do. I'm not going to live my life according to what you want me to do. I'm going to live my life according to what I want to do.
Okay, I have a couple things to say here. Firstly, the whole squirrels, we're just like squirrels argument. Firstly, just discounting religion. We are far more intelligent than squirrels. We have we have far more emotional capability, far more mental capability. We have a lot more of these other capacities. We are obviously better than squirrels. And I hate it when people consider a human life equal to a chicken's life. Like freaking that vegan teacher. Oh my word. Yeesh. Chugging freaking soda. Yeesh. Bad idea. I hate it when people do that. Because regardless of what measure, humans are more intelligent. We are worth more. A human life is worth more. Like, yeah, I mean, really, we should be valuing our higher intelligence lives more than the lower intelligence lives of beasts. Because the reality is, we are better. That also brings up the question super intelligent AI. And personally, I think we should work to our fullest to not ever create that and never let it be created, because theoretically, I'm talking about here evolution from an evolutionary perspective. We don't want to be eliminated, right? We want to continue and live onwards. We don't want to be removed by natural selection. Now, I think the whole evolutionary theory is complete bullcrap. I think there's zero evidence that evolution ever took place. I mean, I've heard of a certain instance where, this rock from the Mount St. Helens explosion, which happened I don't know, maybe the 1930s and 1950s or something like that. I forget. It was dated to be I think 200,000 years old or something. It wasn't even a day old. Yeah, I really don't give a crap for carbon dating. And I've heard of this new stuff, I think it's radiometric dating. Yeah, I don't think it's called radiocarbon dating. But, I haven't learned enough to really criticize that yet, but I would be willing to bet it is inaccurate as well. Especially if it has the suffix that certain materials beyond under a certain age will be inaccurately aged or inaccurately guessed of their age, because if as my belief holds, the Earth is less than 20,000 years old, then in theory everything would be dated wrong. Also, I have the other issue that there are absolutely zero freaking actual transitory fossils. You have all these animals, and you have variants that are more similar to each other, but you have no actual half animals here. Now, I've heard all the stuff about the freaking apes and all that stuff, but it's bullcrap. It's just stupid propaganda, and every other time it's been proven wrong before that. I haven't heard one person talk about vestigial structures. Who the frick is ever going to talk about vestigial structures? Have we not learned that vestigial structures do not exist? We thought so many things were vestigial structures. Science is revealing more and more that vestigial structures are a non-existent factor within the human body. I mean, people have called the appendix a vestigial structure. It's not a vestigial structure. It's an important part of the immune system. What kind of, what? What's up, dude? Aaron, you have any thoughts on this? One second. Aaron, you have any thoughts? No? Okay. What's up, dude? I'm streaming. Evan, you have any thoughts on vestigial structures?
What are you even doing?
Why does
it say reproducing disgusts me?
Oh, because there's a left-wing guy talking about how much reproducing disgusts him. And I am debunking a lot of his arguments and also providing some interesting stuff.
I thought that Twitch for you was just for
I'm not streaming Twitch. I'm streaming YouTube.
Oh. On what channel? Really?
Yeah. Oops.
At least you're not doing politics.
I am doing politics. That's not lesbian stuff. This is a guy. Okay, so I have continuously found more and more evidence. Now, I've come to the conclusion that you can draw. I've come to the conclusion there's no proof for evolution, but I've also come to the conclusion that you could draw either conclusion. And I believe my conclusion to be correct based on the evidence, but you could draw a separate conclusion based on the evidence. However, I believe mine is the correct one due to a lot of different things, but not only the other things I've discussed, but also due to things such as the galaxy's arms not being wrapped tighter, and also there's a few other things. But that's not the subject of this video. But again, a big part of why I hate evolution is because of the subjective morality and the complete devaluing of life that it encourages indirectly or directly. I really do believe it was beyond being a scientific theory, I believe it was pushed to, maybe some people try to push it with good intentions to, my word, I'm gassy, in order to balance out the differences between religions and give a middle ground. But I seriously doubt it. I really think it was used as a propaganda tool so that we would accept immoral behavior. That's really what I think. I really think that's what it comes up to in the end. Being able to value a human life like a squirrel's life is terrible, and I hate it. It makes me very sad. But then also, I honestly got so hooked on that I forgot. Oh yes, I mean, let's see. I can't remember what he was saying.
So it always fascinated me how people talk about bloodlines, but at the end of the day, your kid is its own person that's making its own decisions.
People do treat their kids too much like,
again, it's just complete narcissism. That's all it is.
Their own people.
And people, what they do is, again, they want their kids to be basically a reflection of them, right? So what they do is they get their kids into whatever hobbies they were into, whatever music they listen to, whatever video games they've played. I mean, how many times have I heard in my life, oh, when I have a kid, I'm going to make sure my kid does this and that. And it's like, I don't know about that. That sounds pretty narcissistic to me. You know, if you're going to have a kid, the least you could do is let that kid live his own life, which actually, this brings me to my next point. The thing about being a parent is that you, by default, by just simply being a parent, you automatically have expectations on your child. And what I mean by that is you expect your child to get good grades in school. You expect your child to do certain things that society deems as acceptable, that society says that you should be doing. And when you have that child, the thing is, even if you pretend like, oh, my child can do whatever he wants, he can live the life he wants, even if you say that, the thing is, that's not actually reality, because what if your child ends up, I don't know, failing school? I mean, also, the funny thing is, well, the interesting thing is, I should say, is that a lot of kids that actually do poorly in school, it's not really because of intelligence, it's mainly because of motivation, potential ADHD, and also...
Okay, well, anyway, I think I took a little too long to pause it there. Well, I really don't have much to say. People have expectations, man, deal with it. But also, I do think that, some people, sometimes people have too high of expectations, and, people are rather harsh on people for failing those expectations. However, people failing, if your child doesn't have, isn't neurodivergent, and that person fails school, I can't lie, I think that's probably on the parent, and it's probably the parent's fault, not the child's.
Sorts of various factors that contribute to why they're not doing successful, that contribute to why they're not doing great in school, I meant. But the thing is, parents, since obviously you're completely different beings, you're not really going to understand how their mind operates. So all you really see is, my kid is doing bad in school, therefore my kid is not fulfilling the expectations I placed on my kid, and now my kid deserves punishment. The thing about parents is that even the ones that do try to actually delve deeper into their kid's psychology and try to figure out why their kid is the way he is or the way she is, it's just not possible in all cases, or at least most cases, really. It's just simply not possible. The best you could do...
You can't just patch up a problem by punishing a kid for failure. If you punish, you think of this, the problem with punishing failure, you motivate the other person, or in this case the child, to do better next time. But the problem with doing that to a child, the child doesn't learn, like, the child just gets more pressure put on them to do better. And, sometimes adding a bit of pressure, like, that can help them do better. But if you give them pressure and you never, ever help them, if you don't ever help them, then that child is going to have a ton of pressure and is going to be super stressed out. That is a terrible parenting strategy. You shouldn't be punishing them for just failing in school. I can't lie. Like, not at least in terms of grades. Like, you should be figuring out what's wrong. That way it doesn't become a problem later on. You should deal with it then and not be super... You shouldn't just be like a turd about it. Honestly, this guy was more based than I expected originally.
He was taken to a therapist, but one thing that I've always thought about is that therapy isn't really for everyone, really. I mean, for example, me, I could sit there with a therapist for the rest of my life, and that therapist will never really be able to understand the way my mind works. It's just not how it works. So therapy really isn't for everyone, and that's really the best you can do. But going back to what my brother was saying, I actually started to talk about this with him, and I asked him some more questions. I was like, are you aware that your kid could turn out in a completely different way than you expected? And that's despite whatever you do. You could try to be a good parent. You could try to lead him on the correct path, which is correct path. I guess that's very subjective, isn't it? But you could try to make him a decent person, or...
Again, big surprise. Correct path, subjective. No such thing as subjective morality. That's freaking made up bullcrap. Subjective morality is just an excuse to make morally gray situations so that people can do evil things. That is what I see subjective morality as. Everybody knows it's bullcrap and it's baloney, but a whole bunch of people want to pretend that it makes sense. For one thing, because obviously scientists, like a bunch of evolutionary scientists, will support that, which is again why I hate evolution. Beyond just just my own religious stuff, I hate it because of its encouragement of all this immorality, and because of freaking... Sorry, my brain is... Because of subjective morality. It ticks me off a lot. But also, if he believes in subjective morality, why is he even talking about this? If you believe in subjective morality, there's no such thing as... if it was correct, then there's no such thing as right and wrong, man. It's subjective, right? It's all relative. I mean, a lot of people say, oh, well, it's the majority decides what's right, but that's not how everything else works. That's not how physical things work. Why should that be how morality works? Who decided that? I mean, everybody knows that if everyone said that murder was okay, it doesn't make murder okay. Everyone knows deep down that subjective morality isn't a thing. It's just cope. And people like to cope about that. So they can do bad things that they know are bad. Now, honestly, a lot of the stuff the guy is saying makes a lot of sense. And it's more that I disagree with his conclusion than with his reasons. I really agree with a lot of his reasons.
Well, it's not even just about being a decent person. The thing is, you could try to make him in any way, shape, or form you want him to be. But at the end of the day, that's really not going to happen. And actually, I asked my brother, I said, the thing is, I asked my brother, I was like, okay, how do you feel about your kid turning out to be gay? That's what I said. I said, how do you feel about him turning out to be gay? And what he said was actually very questionable. He said, I'll make sure that won't happen.
Oh no, a cliffhanger.
If you don't understand conflict, you are very easy to manipulate.
Oh no.
I've spent the past 20 years in all kinds of conflict. From
using it as leverage. Heck no, I don't want to listen to that.
Think about that, guys. I'll make sure that won't happen. Isn't that the most absurd response you could possibly give?
Row, man.
Instead of saying, well, I'd love him regardless, I would accept him because he's my child. You would say, he says, I'll make sure that won't happen.
I disagree with this for different reasons, and this guy disagrees with this. I'll make sure that won't happen isn't a solution. You can't just make sure that won't happen. There is no 100% way to make sure your child will go the way you want them to go, because that child is their own person and they make their own decisions. There's no way to 100% make sure your child won't turn out to be trans or gay or like a different religion. You can't really make that 100% certain. That's just how the cookie crumbles. Now, if you're a good parent and you're very good at doing that, at like getting your kid to follow your principles, then I would give the chances that they follow in your footsteps a pretty high chance, like probably 80-90%. But most people don't really have that. Actually, never mind. It's actually pretty hard. I'd give it maybe 70%. I mean, it's hard because a lot of the case study I'm thinking about is me, and I mean, it's very hard not to like think. I'm not really realizing, or I'm not taking into account how a lot of people think differently than I do at my current age. But so I would give it more like a 70% chance that they follow like in the same way. But a lot of they do tend to follow you more if you are a better parent, I would say. But this is the wrong response, because just saying I will make sure that won't happen. You can't. Also, it's very much in the same vein as Christians saying like love the unlovable about their children who like convert to atheism. And like loving, you seriously called your child unlovable? Like, I can't lie. As a Christian, those people, I mean, they aren't acting like Christians, so I can't lie. That's not a very Christian thing to say. Also, think about it. What is the behavior that is going to bring a child back to God more likely than anything else? Well, treating that child like a person. Treating that like you have to treat if you treat them with love, then is that not going to give them a better opinion of your religion and of you in general? I find it so baffling that people don't understand that reacting so hostilely to children choosing another path is like the worst way to get them to do what you want. It just validates them. And like a lot of times, honestly, I would consider him to be correct. I just don't in that particular scenario, and also with a couple others. But reacting so hostilely is not the way to go. Like he's saying, like they really should accept this child as their child. They shouldn't kick him out of the family. They shouldn't treat him or her like so terribly. Like they should be. Your child is your child, no matter what. You should treat them with love and kindness. If you want that child to change, the best way to do that is to treat them with love and kindness. And like a lot of times, it's not going to work. But if anything is going to work, that will be the thing that works, man. And like, I can't lie, like, I completely disagree with being gay. I mean, as a Christian, the Bible quite literally says that it's an abomination, so I am obviously very anti being gay. I mean, obviously. But you should still be treating your child like your child, not like some stranger. It's crazy to me. Like, it's like people haven't heard the expression "love the sinner, not the sin" or whatever. Like, well, or whatever isn't a part of that. But like, why don't people listen to that? It is crazy, man.
Now, right there automatically suggests that this person should not be a parent, right? Because the thing about being a parent, in my opinion, is if you're going to become a parent, if you're going to actually reproduce and bring someone into this disgusting planet, the least you could do...
Oh my word, calling the planet disgusting, that's crazy, dude. The planet is not disgusting. Look at this forest. You are in nature. Why are you drawing the conclusion the planet is disgusting? This is a beautiful planet. People have such negative opinions. People are such pessimists these days. The planet is beautiful. Now, there are places that are very ugly. And honestly, I think it's more of the people that are causing these problems. And are, like, making people think it's a disgusting world. But, no, the nature and all that stuff is beautiful. Why would you call this a disgusting planet? It's not. It's a great planet, dude. You guys are so pessimistic.
Do is accept them for who they are. But talking about, I'll make sure that won't happen, that automatically means you won't accept them for who they are. And that's pretty disgusting if you ask me. Because that kid didn't ask to be born. That kid didn't ask to be born at all. And whether he's gay or whether they end up any way that my brother would say he doesn't approve of, that right there means you shouldn't be a parent. Seriously. But going back to the entire school system thing, I just find it so absurd how your relationship with your parents and a parent's relationship with their child, it's so dependent on the results in something that's completely artificial. Like, a lot of parents, they're not really just satisfied with having a healthy kid, being able to talk to this kid and, you know, just enjoying their time with this kid. They're not satisfied with that. No, that's not how it works. I mean, that would be a good thing, obviously, but at the end of the day, if your kid isn't built for this system...
This stream is going to be taking too long.
My mom would fulfill is that... and this...
So I'm not sure if you caught that in the subtitles. But essentially what he's saying here is that he finds it a big shame that children who don't fulfill the parents' expectations of like getting a high-paying job and like making a lot of money, he finds it really sad that like children are treated worse because of that when they grow up and they don't find those expectations. However, if you didn't catch it, he talks about how his mom is disappointed in him. And as I went on through the video, I've already seen this like once before. As he goes on, I kind of came to realize he works a minimum wage job. Maybe not minimum wage itself, but he's working a low-paying job. And from what I can gather, I think he's like, basically at this point, he's just making YouTube videos and is scraping bottom of the barrel. That's the impression I get from what I can hear here. Now, this is just one video, so I can't garner but I feel like I've learned a lot from it. But basically, he kind of laments that people are that parents are disappointed in their children for working a minimum wage job. I can't lie to you. It's a good thing that parents are disappointed. If your child ends up like that, and you've like done all you can to teach them, if you've done like everything in your power to help them, I'm not gonna lie, your kid's a failure, and it's not your fault. But if they end up there and you haven't done everything you could, you suck. Like, that is terrible, man. Your child should not become a wage slave like that. Like, this is like the point of getting an education so you don't become a wage slave like that. That is terrible, man. It is really sad. But anyways. Okay, so over here, I had to jog my memory a bit. He's talking about how this system, the way things work, introverted people are not really rewarded for being introverted. And as an introverted person myself, I can't lie. Extroverted people have an advantage. Being extroverted is better than being introverted, objectively. If you don't struggle with talking to other people, then you have an advantage. Being able to talk to other people is a huge advantage. And if you can't, you are at a huge disadvantage. And I kind of hate that I'm at that disadvantage, but that's how life is. and I ain't gonna just whine and cry about it. I'm gonna do something about it. Why do you think I talk so much? And I'm like, why did you think I like worked so hard on speech class? Why did you think that why do you think I'm doing all this stuff? Like, being able to speak to other people, practicing it, is a big part of this. And obviously you can tell I'm not the greatest at it. I stutter a lot. But the point is to get familiar with speaking in a somewhat public way. Obviously talking to a camera isn't the same as talking to like another person. It's a lot more nerve-wracking for me for some reason. But obviously the point is to improve. But he is right. People who are introverted are at an inherent disadvantage. I can't lie. I don't know if being an introvert or extrovert is related to genetics or just circumstances. I don't really pay attention to that much. I haven't studied it that much, but I do think he's correct here. Now, I don't know why he's saying over here the system is suited for certain personality types and witches. Oh, wait. Huh. Wait, hold on, let me go back.
For certain personality types, and which is kind of absurd if you think about it, because parents will literally complain to their children, oh, you weren't able to do this, you weren't able to do that. But the thing is, they never actually think about how what you're trying to get them to do, their personality is not suited for that, their wiring is not suited for that, right? Like,
I think most of the now I know there's some people who are neurodivergent and this doesn't apply to them, but I think most of the time children are generally capable of eventually with enough training doing normal things. I think a child could do things they aren't necessarily suited for. Like an introverted kid could do more extroverted things, like what I'm trying to do now. I am becoming more and more extroverted and stuff. Now, I'm obviously not there. I'm not even close to there, but I'm kind of working through it. Trying to push through there and become less of an introvert and more of an extrovert. And I think that most of the time saying that giving people's wiring as an excuse for not doing well in the system, unless your wiring is screwed up, you have a mental disability, I don't think you have really an excuse for failing. Having standards isn't a curse, man. It's kind of why having standards is kind of the backbone of society. And if you don't have standards, you're kind of going to have a miserable life. So that's kind of my opinion on that. Let's look a bit further. Oh, look at that. Okay, let's actually listen here, because I think this is kind of important here.
For example, my parents, they wanted me to work some high-end job. They wanted me to be a doctor. They wanted me to be an engineer. They basically wanted me to have one of these high-skill, high-status jobs. And the thing is, I'm not wired for that because I don't value that. My wiring doesn't value that. And I actually tried to explain this to them recently, but they just wouldn't be able to understand. They just weren't able to understand that not everyone's meant to do certain things. The thing is, I'm not even really built for most jobs. I'm not built for jobs where, how do I explain this? I'm not really built for high responsibility, high skill, high technical jobs. I'm not.
Imagine that. A guy who's not built for high responsibility doesn't want to have kids. Coincidence? I think not.
Not really built for that at all. Because I value my autonomy. I value my time outside of work so much, to the point where I merely view work as a transaction. I view it as, fine, if I have to do this, well, just give me anything so I could just get this over with. And when you have that mindset, it makes it basically impossible to sit there and invest in something that you really don't care about, because you'd rather actually go out and live life. And with that being said, that means that basically I can't force myself to sit there and study some career and try to get a career in something, even if it pays a lot of money. I just can't force myself to sit there and do that.
So, if you didn't catch that, he just said he can't force himself to, like, sit there and learn a career. So, what do you think he does? He clearly works. Like I said earlier, like, he probably works some really low-paying job. What a surprise. Now, I can't lie. I think he probably missed it. You could have missed out on something, man. Like, look, you should probably go looking for a career again. Like, be a little bit more open. And, like, I honestly, like, I bet you that there's a career out there that you will enjoy. Like, everyone like you're saying, everyone is wired a bit different. I'm sure there's something out there that you would enjoy. And, like, there are, like, something, like, I guess you're probably living in the city or something like that. So you might be having to compete with some other people. But, like, I'm sure there's something out there and some way you can find a way to, like, get a job that you actually enjoy. And, like, actually pays well. But it sounds to me like you gave up and you just thought you couldn't have a career, like you couldn't live a normal life. The thing is, if you don't, like, live a normal life, you're probably going to end up as a loser, I can't lie. Like, I mean, you can't force yourself to sit there and do that. What? You can't sit down. I mean, you are walking around when we're recording this, so, I mean, I don't know how you are, so, I guess I'll give you the benefit of it out there. But also, like, I'm not surprised that your parents are disappointed in you. I can't lie. If my child, as I said before, is working minimum wage, and I put a lot of work into that child, like, I actually, like, did all I could to get that child the best life possible for him, and he failed miserably like that, I would be disappointed in him. I would consider him a failure. Now, I don't know how good your parents were, and not gonna lie, I'm not sure that they were very good based on your... I can't help but feel like a lot of this video sounds like he kind of had personal experience with some of this stuff. So I have a feeling his parents weren't the best. So personally, I'm not sure if I can fully blame this on him. It might be more of his parents' fault. But still, you do not sound to me like it makes complete sense to me that you would be against parenting, because you clearly are not ready for it. And you clearly haven't got yourself figured out. I can't lie. Like, this guy is 25. I'm sitting here. I'm a 17-year-old. I know what I'm doing. I'm going to be out of college in 2 years with, like, a career that I can turn into a business. I can make a butt ton of money if I want to. And even just the normal jobs, I can make, like, very, very good money for, like, just a normal job. But I can easily turn that into a business. Like, I have like a bunch of my life for the future figured it out, and I know that I want, like, a wife and kids. Obviously, I haven't, like, really begun to work on that because, like, I'm, like, right in the transition period between 17 and 18. Like, I don't want to, like, be looking around during that time because that, that's tricky stuff. But also, I'm in college and I want to have a more, like, traditional household and stuff, because I'll talk about that later, but I do believe that women are better suited for the housework, and I'll talk about that later in probably another video. But I believe men and women are designed for separate roles, and to be clear, that doesn't make women worth less. I want to make that very clear. People have this idea that, like, because, like, women doing housework is somehow, like, unempowering, like, or, like, it isn't, like, I don't know, it's hard and, like, unrewarding. Like, I can't lie, like, I don't know, like, the most about it, and also I'm tired, and I need to get back to the other thing before I get off the track again, but I'll talk about that later in another video.
So my parents don't understand that. Well, most parents don't understand that at all. But the thing is, their response is not actually, how do I explain this? Their response is criticism. You know, they complain at you, they whine at you, and
criticism
they put you down. They make you feel bad about yourself.
You should feel bad.
And it's not because you're a bad person. It's not because you did anything wrong.
You did something
wrong. It's just because your inner wiring didn't match what the world expects of you. We live in a world where you're criticized.
I can't lie. Unless you're neurodivergent, then I, in my opinion, you have no excuse beyond being neurodivergent and potentially having bad parents. Now, if you had bad parents and like didn't have something to like launch off from to start your life, then like I understand why you're in this situation. But if you had good parents and if you aren't neurodivergent, as far as I'm concerned, you have no excuse for your failure here. Make no mistake, the current situation you're in, if I am correct in my calculations from what you're saying here, if I am correct here, you are very much a failure, in my opinion. That doesn't make you permanently a failure, but you should feel bad. Criticism is a good thing, and I think a big reason why he doesn't like criticism is because he doesn't measure up to a lot of people's standards that are actually good standards. And no one likes criticism, I can't lie. I like some criticism, particularly constructive criticism, but I'm weird. I am very weird, and I like enjoy it because I like to criticize. I mean, I can't lie. I'm probably the biggest critic of myself, so I enjoy when other people criticize me, and I can like find other flaws to work on. It's kind of fun. I can't lie. Like, if you make it all like a game of self-improvement, it is kind of fun. But anyways, let's continue.
Because you just spawned with the inability to do certain things, even though the funniest part about it is that what you're being expected to do, like what they expect you to do.
Are you like an amputee? Are you neurodivergent? What is wrong with you that you can't do everything someone else can do, man? Anyways, it is getting a bit further. I need to put this a bit further. So basically, more complaining here. Imagining like if the system was like equal to everyone. The issue though is like that's not real life. Like you're not like things are never going to be perfect, and like if you have bad traits, there's not always going to be like a perfect job for you or something like that. You gotta like go looking for it. You can't just like, oh wow, look at me, I'm walking along. Oh no, I tripped. Oh, what is that? It's a job application. Oh, it just happens to be for my dream job. Like that's not how real life works. You don't just get accepted into your dream job just by like walking around working minimum wage. Like you have to put some effort in, man. Oh wait, here we go. Let's see here.
Rewarded if this reality, and this reality, again, the traits that are most rewarded, if you don't have them, well, it is what it is. And again, it's artificial.
It is what it is.
It's not like there's anything wrong with you because you're someone that isn't social. It's not like there's
no, there is something wrong with me. I'm not a social person. That in itself is something wrong with me. If you aren't social, there's something wrong with you. Does that make you inherently like a bad person because you aren't social? No, that doesn't make you a bad person. But is it a detracting factor in your life? Yes. You just gotta live with it. Or you can overcome it, or try to. Do your best, like what I'm trying.
There's anything wrong with...
I mean, unless it's like hard-coded into your like genes or whatever, theoretically you should be able to fix it. I mean, a lot of traits, a lot of bad traits can be fixed with enough work. It's just hard. It's really hard, man. It is really hard.
With you, if you're someone that isn't really built for careers or built for all of these things.
If you aren't built for careers, there's definitely something wrong with you. There is very definitely something wrong with you if you are not built for careers. Like, if you can't get a job, well, like, you're a loser. I can't lie. Unless you've, like, done something, like, unless you're, like, an amputee or something. Like, I can't just call you a loser if it's, like, inherent, like something you can't fix. There are some things you can't fix, and, like, if that's the case, then, like, well, it's not your fault. But if you are, like, this guy here is saying, I'm not really built for careers. I can't lie, unless you're neurodivergent, I really see, like, no excuse for this. It just seems stupid. I can't lie, you sound so lazy.
That the system expects you to do. There's nothing wrong with you in an objective sense.
Well, how could there be something wrong with you in an objective sense if it's subjective morality? And of course, it's obviously, like, he's obviously biased because, like, you can kind of tell his parents consider him a failure, so, like, he's biased. I can't lie.
You just got unlucky by spawning into a place where your traits are not rewarded. I mean, not only are your traits not rewarded, but your traits are punished. Like, you are actually punished for being what you are, even though you didn't even ask to be what you are.
Some people, I can't lie. Now, there are some people who are, like, unable to change their some things, but some people have bad traits and levels, like, quote-unquote, who they are. Some people need to stop being who they are and be someone else. I can't lie, like, be someone else. Some of you people need to be someone else. If who you are is bad, you might just want to be someone else. I can't lie. You might be happier in that role at the end of the day, because, you know, if who you are has bad traits, like, if you can get rid of those bad traits, you probably will be happier off, and maybe, like, you might have a better career or something like that. I was saying, like, people, the whole message of being who you are, like, what you are, etc., to your own and everyone else's detriment, is not a good narrative. You can bring yourself and everyone else down because you think that who you are, you can think, like, who you are is something, like, crazy or whatever. Yeah, does anyone remember Chris? No, I don't think it's Chris Tyson, but maybe it was Tyson. Chris Tyson from Mr. Beast. You remember how he transitioned, left his wife and kid? Well, I mean, I don't remember if he actually left them, but I think his wife was like, "Nope, I'm out." And I'm pretty sure she took the kid. I can't lie. The way I've seen the way Chris is acting in a couple of those videos whenever he's transitioning. Also, the name change to, wasn't it Ava Chris Tyson? I can't lie, that was so creative. Like, that was, like, the most, I can't lie, the name was the most positive thing that came out there. Using your old name as, like, a middle name was, like, the most cool thing ever, and it's, like, so creative. But also, like, a band, like, doing that to your wife and kids, how messed up. And if I'm correct, he's literally working, like, one of these crappy jobs in a movie theater. Like, people will ruin their lives chasing these dreams. Like, chase your dreams, man, but be careful. You gotta think about this. Sometimes dreams are unrealistic and can't be achieved. Or sometimes they're not worth achieving because the cost is too great. Some dreams are attainable, but some just aren't. And sometimes being who you are is not what's actually best for you. Sometimes you need to change who you are to some degree. I know it sounds kind of crazy, but sometimes that's how the cookie crumbles. Like, I can't lie, that's just how the cookie crumbles. Oh, wait.
Let that sink in, guys. Let that sink in.
Yeah, let that sink in. Bleh. Okay, so here he's talking about how he's talking about neurodivergent people. Obviously, neurodivergent people are at a huge disadvantage for the most part.
I mean, there's a reason why I do this YouTube stuff. There's a reason why. It's because I managed to find a way to make money in a way that actually aligns with my personality, in a way that actually aligns with my wiring, right? Now, it's obviously not going to be a full-time income, but it's something. Now, that's something you could do, potentially. I mean, not YouTube. I'm not saying that you could do YouTube. But what I'm saying is that if you're someone that's neurodivergent, or if you're someone that just has traits that are punished by the system, then you can do certain things to still navigate your way through the system. Although it's going to be a lot more difficult. Now, let's talk about...
Yeah, I can't lie. Neurodivergent people are at such a disadvantage. I would hate to be neurodivergent, man. Okay, so here he's talking about a lot of rather interesting things. For one thing, he's talking about, like, I don't know, talking about how we shouldn't be calling teenagers kids, or shouldn't be, like, treating them as, like, I guess children or something, or thinking about them more as adults. I guess younger adults or something. I do think we should be treating kids as, like, super inexperienced adults who are still developing. I feel like a lot of people just treat them kind of like, you know, like, not full people. And that's not right. I don't know what I do.
People may laugh at this, but I do almost zero cavity fillings, and there's a reason for that. Studies show...
Okay. So this is probably my favorite part.
Other people that are vast. School. You're putting them in an environment where they're surrounded by other people that are vastly different from them.
Diversity?
School is an environment where your kid is going to be subjected to all sorts of different personalities.
I mean, he seems to be an obviously democratic guy, right? In the meantime, he's talking about diversity as a bad thing. That is crazy.
Types and all sorts of different people, and
what?
They may not get along with these people. I mean,
yeah, they may not
I know that they taught us about bullying in school. Oh, don't be bullying people. Bullying is bad and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, it's still going to happen. You know, your kid is still going to end up being involved in conflicts with these other people.
And this is a reason why I think you should probably train your kid in self-defense. Like, take them to karate, taekwondo, something like that. Like, honestly, I do think a lot more people than actually are trained in self-defense should be actually trained, and by professionals, not just like, oh, I, like, fight, like, I'm street brawler or whatever the frick. Like, I can't lie, a trained fighter will kick a street brawler's butt. Like, I would say, like, 7 times out of 10. Like, if I put up, like, a whole bunch of martial arts up against a street fighter without, like, any actual professional training, just with a whole bunch of fights, I bet you that most of the time, the trained martial artist would beat him. And I really think that children should be, like, you should, if you want children to be safe, you should train them this way. Like, you should give them training in combat. They should be able to fight. Because there are evil people, who will, like we all know, there's evil people who want to do things to our children. And you can't always be there to protect your child, especially if you're sending them to public school. So if you train your kid in self-defense, you are essentially significantly, you're effectively adding an additional protective shield for them. It's like, I mean, honestly, a kid with self-defense is, I mean, like, possibly better than having, like, a parent around. Like, if you aren't trained in self-defense and your child is, I can't lie, if your child is, like, professionally trained and is, like, actually professional, your child might actually be better than you in the situation. Sometimes. I mean, it's definitely, I'd say it's probably a rare case. Like, I mean, it depends on the case, but I would say it is a possibility. But it's, like, kind of a no-brainer to me. Like, and also, again, sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me. you really need to have thicker skin. People really do need to have thicker skin. I wish I had thicker skin. I wish I'd been bullied when I was younger, man. I wish I had gotten thicker skin when I was younger, because I was affected a lot by people, like a certain individual yelling at me quite a lot. I was rather shocked at such behavior. I was like, what in the world? Because I had never seen any behavior like that before, and I was completely shocked at such actions, especially over some of the things that happened over. And obviously I won't talk any more about that because private reasons. But I wish I had learned to be more thick-skinned when I was younger. Because it would have been really useful. But yeah, self-defense. Good idea.
And it's like, you don't know whether they're suffering from that. You don't know what's happening in that kid's life. You don't know what's happening every single day you send them to school. You don't know what's happening. And it's really sad because...
Okay, so what he's going to be talking about here is he's talking about how kids can be going through like these traumatic stuffs, and they come home and, like, as he's saying here, you wouldn't know. The issue here, this is a big part of why I like homeschooling, but also the issue here is why don't you just, like, cultivate some trust with your kid? Like, obviously, I would want my kid to be able to trust me enough to tell me about things, like if they got assaulted or whatever. Anything like that, I want them to be able to tell me and feel comfortable telling me as soon as possible. Like, I want them to, like, know they can trust me with this sort of thing. I don't want them to, like, feel like, oh, I'm going to be super judgmental about something or something like that. Like, I want them to, like, I want them to know they can trust me. And so if they can't trust you with, like, telling you about bullying or something, then, like, you can't lie, you sound like you have a pretty crappy relationship with your parents. But also, again, with, like, well, actually, no, I haven't talked about this yet, but homeschooling, I think, would be a great solution for this. Because homeschooling is a pretty interesting thing. And I think it works well with the traditional household better. Like, you have a man off working a lot, and theoretically making a lot of money. So you don't have to worry about anything financially in this situation. And the wife is, like, the main cook. Like, I personally, I would like to be able to cook as well. Like, I want to learn that. Like, every so often I want to, like, whip up my own favorite dish. But, like, the wife is, like, handling the home stuff. And, like, I kid you not, I've been so brainwashed by feminism that I feel so bad just saying this. It feels so wrong. But genuinely, like, women are, like, better suited for this stuff. Like, it's very obvious. Men, like, grow muscles easier. We have a higher physical peak because we're designed to be the workers, like the heavy lifters, and all that stuff. And, you know, women are, like, better in that other role. That's why why the whole tradition exists. It's not oppressive. It's how things work. It's how things are supposed to work. Now, obviously, I am very glad that women and men are considered to be equals. That is how things should have always been and should always be. Like, I mean, like a whole, like, marriage idea is like two equal parts become, like, one part. Like, two equal parts become one whole, you know? Like, the whole idea is two equals. But, you know, throughout history, it's been, like, the man considers, like, the woman, like, lesser, and I really hate how that is. How that was. I despise it. But I've been so brainwashed by feminism that just saying the traditional way of life is good just sounds wrong, even though it isn't. It's not wrong, and I'm not gonna obviously dwell on it too much. But I do like the fact that, like, the wife can stay and, like, bring up the child. Like, personally, I like to be able to, like, be there a lot, like, not too much, not to the point that it's, like, a detriment to, like, work and, like, pay and all that stuff. But, like, enough to, like, be I want to be there, I want to be present, I want to be a significant part of, like, my children's lives. I want to be able to, like, help out parenting, and, like, like, it shouldn't be one parent parenting and the other parent working, Both parents should be there. That's how it's supposed to work. You're not supposed to be absent all the time. The man isn't supposed to be absent, But, anyways, in a situation, though, like, you have one parent home all the time, and this kind of, like, it gives you a pretty good opportunity to do homeschooling. And homeschooling is pretty tricky because if you let your kid just do it on their own, or if you, like, have low standards, the thing is, you can fail miserably and end up having your kid be dumber than a public school kid if you basically do unschooling or near unschooling. But if you push far enough and hard enough, you can end up like, there's a much higher ceiling but a much lower floor than public school. Public school is more rigid. Like you are much more. You're kind of, like, much more rigidly stuck more in the middle. But with homeschooling, you can ascend to higher heights, or you could fall to lower lows. And it depends on. It really does depend, I think, mostly, pretty much almost entirely on the parents. Like, if you don't push your child, like, you really expect your child to push yourself. I wouldn't expect that. So, if you're diligent about it, then you can, like, really, like, help out your child by choosing that path. But also, this prevents your child from, like, being in, like, school shootings, like, all that stuff. And, school shootings are completely preventable. You know this, right? We could just have armed guards. I genuinely think we should have armed guards all over the place. Like, all over the place in cities. Like, if you had a massive police force that was actually well trained and well armed, and, like, had actual fitness standards, and if we had, like, a soldier ready to respond to, like, crime, placed at every block in every major city, how many crimes do you think would be committed if, like, if 5 soldiers could arrive on the scene in, like, half a minute? I genuinely think that if you brought that system to, like, any city, crime would decrease by, like, 90% very quickly. And, like, genuinely, like, we should forget about, like, the idea of removing guns from the public, because the whole point is for the public to act as basically a secondary line of defense if we are invaded, or it's also meant for us to be able to protect ourselves in case, the government turns on us, which, don't like to think about that, but it is another function of it. And, I kind of don't like the idea of the government slowly taking away our right to guns. But also, it's not a solution. The solution is to have security with guns. It's not less guns. The solution's more guns. And not just, like, random people holding the guns. Like, actually well-trained people. Like, you know how long those freaking shooters wait to fire? Like, they're so badly. Like, they act like they have no training. Like, I genuinely think that if you had a guard, like a single sniper, you could probably, like, prevent, like, 80% of the school shootings in, like, the last decade with a single sniper. Like, a single well-trained sniper could probably kill that dude before he ever kills a single person in almost every situation because of how long it takes them to actually act. They just spend so long acting casual. I do find it crazy. Like, I mean, obviously they're, like, at the peak of their, like, lack of mental health, so they're not exactly performing intelligently now, are they? That's kind of how they work. And good thing. I mean, it would be a good thing if we didn't act just as dumb. It'd be a good thing because we could prevent so many needless child deaths just to rally people together to get rid of guns. It really is just a tactic to get rid of our people's guns. I can't lie. But again, like, that is a significant reason why I support both self-defense for your kids and yourself and, like, everyone you care about. And also, armed guards, and also why I support homeschooling. Anyways, to continue.
Barely.
He's talking about kids committing. Is is suicide like banned or a banned word or whatever on YouTube? I'm curious. I mean, I can't lie, that's blatant censoring of the First Amendment, but I mean, YouTube is like an international company, so you know. You can't expect them to be like super lenient. Like, you gotta have standards on the internet. If you're not like completely American based company, I suppose. I mean, I think they're definitely American based, but you know, like, I guess they have to have standards. But still, suicide being the line they draw sounds like a dumb line. Like, this is a serious topic, man. But yeah, I can't lie. For those cases, I genuinely think it's probably the parents' fault. Like, if they're doing that at young, I bet like the parents have a terrible relationship with them. Like, they're probably horrible parents, man. That's probably why. Oh, and here he's talking about like stuff I didn't even know existed. Okay, he's moving on over there. Talking about how like people are talking about bring bullying back, and like, what? Bring bullying? Why? Why is that even a movie? It's just stupid. It seems like one of those crazy far right counter moves to like the leftist propaganda, like where people go extreme far right, and they're like, heck no, let's go as extreme against this as possible. It really does feel like that. Anyways, let's continue.
You know, one common insult people use is "you have no friends." You know, you have no friends. You're a loser. You have no friends. Meanwhile, they use that as an insult. They use that to put somebody else down. But there's really kids out there that actually have no friends, and they're severely affected by that. Their mental health is severely affected by that.
I can't lie. I can't lie. Your mental health should not be severely affected by someone saying you have no friends and it being true. What you should do about it is get friends. Now, if you're neurodivergent, I understand. Like, you probably can't control a lot of this. But if you aren't neurodivergent, I really don't think there's much of an excuse for this having such a severe effect. Like, what a pathetic snowflake. I mean, I suppose that he's talking about children here. So it makes a bit more sense for them to be a bit of a snowflake. However, realistically, I really think you should be training your children not to be such a snowflake. Like, if their mental health is severely affected by that, you need to fix that pronto, like now, like now, like act as if it's a freaking emergency. But anyways,
I'm a 25-year-old man. I don't really care about having friends, but as a kid, the thing is, as a kid,
hold up. He doesn't really care about having friends. So I mean, I can't lie. Why? Like, he has like all the reason in the world not to like reproduction, because he quite literally, according to my own definitions, is a loser. Apparently he's working a bad job. He can't pursue a career because he's too, like, I guess he's too, whatever, shifty. Can't like stop moving or whatever. Apparently he can't like settle down, sit down and study. I really don't understand people who are like this. Like, unless they're like, I really don't understand why, like, how you cannot just be patient. It really just does seem like impatience and laziness to me. And as far as I can tell, like, he hasn't said he's neurodivergent. I don't think he said it once. So I would understand like how he could be like this if he were neurodivergent, but as far as I can tell, all I see is cope. cope for just being a failure. I can't lie.
Feel a sense of you want to belong, right? You want to belong to a group. If you're a kid that's alone and you're just seeing all these other people have fun with their friends and stuff, then that's going to severely affect your mental health, right? So it's like all of these insults we use. Oh, you used to get bullied as a kid. Oh, you have no friends. You're a loser. It's like we're making fun of people that like are actually in pain. Isn't that crazy? Isn't that just crazy, guys?
Well, to some degree. I mean, I can't lie. Making fun of people in pain is kind of like ridiculous. You should not be doing that. However, calling people out for their actions, like calling them out on their crap, like calling them out for being a loser, like for having no friends, having no drive, not being willing to sit down and like really start their lives. I mean, for crying out loud, this guy's like 25. Like I like all that I heard from this guy. He like goes to the gym, like makes YouTube videos, does some like he didn't say what job, I don't think. But apparently it's not a very high paying one. And he wasn't able, like, I mean, how could he get a high paying job without studying for a career, right? All because he quote unquote doesn't fit. That doesn't, now I don't know about doesn't fit, but that doesn't really seem to fit with what my brain is telling me, because if he was like, again, if he was actually neurodivergent, it makes sense. Like, he can't do this. But if he can do this, then it's all just cope. So, as far as I know, all it is just cope, right? But you shouldn't make fun of people in pain. But if you call out them for like being a loser or being lazy, yeah, I can't lie. One of the like people don't like being made fun of or don't like being criticized. And if you criticize someone enough, like constructive criticism, like provide like an outlet for them to do something, constructive criticism is a rather effective tactic. And so like call people out, man. Call them out. Just don't call them out and then like say, "Oh, well, I don't know what to do." Like if you're going to call someone out, you got to have like a solution here. So let's continue. Okay, so over here he's talking about these anti-natalists, or not anti-natalists, sorry, these pro-natalists talking about anti-natalists, and he does, and what he's saying makes a lot of sense here, because he's talking about how like they are not helping their case at all. They're just saying like very surface level insults. They're not helping. That's the problem, I think, with a lot of people these days. They do not help the situation. They just insult. They throw insults around, and then that's that. They don't provide constructive criticism. They just provide criticism. It's sad, and I think it's become worse and worse over the years. Like, how far have our debates fallen since Lincoln gave his debate all those years ago? How far have our debates fallen, man? That now they're freaking roast battles between presidents. Like, what has happened, man? Intellectualism has like fallen so far down into the drain, man. Now here he's talking about how he's talking about how he is like afraid about how he's been conditioned to accept these narratives, how he's been conditioned to. One second, it'll come to me. I'm kidding, really tired. I can't lie, I probably didn't. I don't want an episode, I'll have to go to bed soon. He's talking about how he's afraid that he will act in accordance to these things he's been conditioned to. He'll act as if he were these same people. He would have expectations. And I can't lie. the reason why not only is it conditioning, but it's also just natural human thought process. They're just labeling as conditioning partially. Because if your kid completely fails everything and you put everything into them, well then you can't if you accept them you can't really just accept that as is. You kind of realize, oh well, they're kind of a failure. You do realize that.
If I had a kid that pretty much never had a job, just stayed at home, played video games all day, he's not doing good according to society's expectations. And even though I recognize that I don't even believe in society's expectations, I would still feel upset if my kid turned out to be like that.
Yes, because sitting on the couch, drunk, playing video games at age 40, being super fat, is a wasted life and a failed life. If your kid turns out like that, well, not only has he failed society's expectations, but he's basically failed. The point of expectations is that there are positive results for these. If you had become an engineer, you could not only be making serious money, but perhaps what if engineering was something you really would have enjoyed? And what if you didn't test that out? What if you didn't really test the waters for that? From what you said there, the reason why you didn't want to go was because you didn't want to commit to learning the career, right? I'm not sure if you even checked it all out, but from what I heard, you didn't really try anything out. You just kind of gave up. And really, this kind of is not revolting. Sorry, this is kind of revealing about not only about this supposed conditioning, but also it's pretty obvious to me this is just kind of more wired in instinct that we kind of know what a failure is and what a non-failure is, and so he knows this, and he labels all of it as conditioning. And I can't lie, I'm very surely certain not all of it is. And he calls it nonsense, which is hilarious because it's not at all. I really do find it funny how it relates to real life as if it was a game. Talks about how it's all artificial, and it's so weird because he acts as if none of this is real. All of these expectations are artificial. Okay, well, my kid is a success if he wastes his entire life eating potato chips on the couch. Because I have no expectations. No. We all know better, man. There's a reason why expectations exist, and that's because we have standards. Okay, this is the big one. This is the big one, man.
And it sucks how it's that way.
Just listen.
And really the last point I have to make, because I am kind of getting tired of talking, is that when you reproduce, when you have a kid, your autonomy has been completely ruined. I mean, you can't just wake up and do whatever you want to do. You have to attend to some other human being. That sounds pretty whack if you ask me. And I don't want my hard work to be spent on another human being. No, that's not how I operate. I want all of my hard work, all of the money I earn, I want that to be spent on me, not someone else. And especially it's absurd because these kids don't even really have a personality until they're 5 years old. 5 years old is probably...
Okay, I should have paused earlier. I'm sorry. Okay, if you didn't listen there, what he just... Did any of you, realize the implications of what he just said? He's talking about when you have kids, you lose your autonomy. And he's not wrong. You lose some autonomy when you have kids because you have more responsibilities. Now, it's my opinion that the benefits for this still very much outweigh the losses in autonomy. And I think obviously the other option is keep your autonomy, but, don't have kids, and then, There's a lot more negative things from that, if you ask me. However, if you didn't also realize, it is, believe it or not, a selfish reason. You know how this guy was talking earlier about selfish reasons for having kids? The passing on your bloodline stuff? Imagine that we've circled around to a selfish reason against it. That's totally not hypocritical. But then that's not the only thing here. Like, you know how it's all about, like, me. Look here, he's talking about, like, all my hard work. I want it to be spent on me. Me, not someone else. I mean, he's not even talking about a freaking partner here. Like, no wife, no girlfriend, just me. I want to spend everything on me, which, you know, like, you're your own person. Feels like a tongue twister since I'm so tired. But still pretty clearly, to me, not the most moral stance to take. And believe it or not, so it's obviously a double standard here. Now, obviously, that doesn't really nullify any of the points I made earlier, because he was right about that. But I just want to point out, this is a double standard. Now, he goes on, I forgot all about this, I can't lie. He makes the most insane statement ever.
Even being generous, but it's like you're taking, 5 years old? I mean, 5 years old really have a personality until, because these kids, I mean, kids don't even really have a personality until they're like, 5 years old? I mean, 5 years old is probably even being generous, but it's like you're taking care of this human being that's basically an NPC for the first, 5-6 years of his life. That sounds pretty whack, if you ask me. Only until they're like, I don't know. I would even say 5 or 6. I think more like 10, 11, 12. Only then do they actually become real human beings. But
I don't know if this is supposed to be a joke. I mean, I hope the laughter means it's a joke, because if he's being serious, that is one of the most that you can tell right there. This adult, I'm sorry, the way he talks, he sounds, I know he's older than me. He's literally like 2 years short of a decade older than me, but he sounds like he's literally less mature than me. I can't lie to you. He's less mature than me. I have got more things figured out than this man. I am in a better position than this man. I can't lie. I mean, yeah, he's getting some money from YouTube and all, but like, he's not actually making enough to sustain himself. Like, he's in a worse position than me. I can't lie. I got everything figured out. But he just said kids don't have a personality until they're 5. He has no, right there, he doesn't know what he's talking about. I have a unique situation. My part-time job, I get to work around a family, and this family has kids, and one of their kids is child, it's like toddler, and he definitely has a personality. He's also so freaking cute. Like, how can you hate children, man? They're so funny. They're so hilarious. Like, I don't know, talking about children on YouTube. Legit, I'm sorry. I watch too much friggin' stuff talking about predators. I immediately, subconsciously, Sam, what the frick? But no, children are oh my word, dude. Oh no, that ruined it. But I mean, children have personalities. At age much earlier, that child is much younger than 5. He's 2 or 3, and he has a personality. These kids, they aren't fully developed, and they don't have their full personalities yet, but they have a personality. And suggesting they don't become real human beings until age 10? That is some of the most horrible stuff I've heard. This guy, when I was age 9, I can't lie. When I was age 9, I was beyond having a personality at that point. What he's suggesting here, I had a personality on my own. I could think logically on my own. I was I was dumb. Yeah, like, I was probably, like, on the low IQ spectrum of adults if, like, I had to be compared to an adult. But I was still more than human intelligence level as a 9-year-old. Let alone as a 12-year-old. A 12-year-old, I can't lie, like, as a 12-year-old, I probably would have made it, like, around the middle of the human intelligence spectrum. Like, I mean, I definitely am a bit biased because a lot of people are dumb today, but I still think I would have been around the middle intelligence spectrum at age 12. You mean to tell me you don't think that kids are humans until they're 10? Like, I can't lie, this sounds to me like some of the most evil crap ever. Like, imagine if we start committing abortion on 9-year-olds. Like, oh, sorry, Sam. I know that you've lived for 9 years, but because you're not a human, I'm able to kill you. So I'm going to abort you now. Imagine if people did that. I mean, I'm sure that's not what you meant here. But you are literally saying that these kids are not human. Not real human beings. These logical people, like, yeah, they're not fully developed. How does that not make them human? Like, is the standard for being human not being part of the species? Like, what the frick? I mean, I can't lie. I'm sure you didn't mean this. I'm sure you didn't mean to, like, say, oh, it's okay to abort 9-year-olds. I'm sure you didn't mean that. But the fact that it's even possible to draw that conclusion makes me, like, extremely angry about that. That is not funny. That was like by far the worst thing I have heard in the entire last month. It is infuriating that I can even draw this conclusion logically from this. It, like, ticks me off. But anyways, let's continue.
I'm not going to be spending my money, my hard-earned money, especially in an economy like this.
It's hard-earned money.
Why would I do that? I mean,
hard-earned money that you didn't even have the willpower to study a career for. Why do you think you're doing bad in the economy, man? Why do you think you're doing bad? You think it has anything to do with the fact you didn't study a career?
The thing is, it's so ironic.
I mean, I assume this guy was living in the city, but, like, what if he's not? What if he's just living, like, in, like, the suburbs, and he's just in this position because he literally just wouldn't study a career? I mean, I can't lie. I don't think I need to hear anymore. Like, there's a few minutes more, but I genuinely don't think it's important. Like, I mean, I think I've heard enough. I think I've really heard enough to, like, know all that needs to be known about this guy. Like, immediately. Like, I've only seen this one video, but I can already tell, like, I already know the guy is a leftist. I already know the guy is clearly, I mean, I can't tell. I am guessing that he is probably, like, very close to the white trash stereotype. Not quite there, but I can very clearly tell the guy is a loser. And, you know, like, I mean, there should be shame in being a loser. I was going to say there's no shame in being a loser because you can fix it. But actually, you should be ashamed. He should be ashamed of being a loser. Because if you're ashamed and do something about it, then that's the right response. Congratulations. So my takeaway from this, and I hope his takeaway from looking at this, if he ever does, is what you should do, if you listen to this, I think what you should do is consider potentially, I mean, honestly, I suggest looking around into careers again. I mean, I can't lie, you lost a huge advantage now that you've, like, spent so many years away. Like, you probably won't have the financial support backing of your parents behind this. However, I am sure that you could still look around there are careers that are more attainable. Personally, if I had to recommend one, I would recommend HVAC to you. Now, I don't know if you like it, but I'm just saying that would probably be a good one for you to try out, because people are pretty short on heating, ventilation, and air conditioning workers. And it's a pretty important industry. It's got a lot of permanence, gets good pay. I mean, you could freaking start a business eventually in a lot of places, especially out where I live. So personally, that's my recommendation to you. And I'm not telling you this so like you can impress your parents or anything like that. I'm telling you this because like this will be like beneficial to you. Like if you have more money, then you are able to live more comfortably. But also beyond that, like the fact that you're struggling, like, I mean, it's not good to have to struggle. Like nobody wants to struggle. And I don't want you to have to struggle, man. And you seem to be, I mean, I can't lie, the way this video sounds, it makes you sound like you're in a really hard place. And you really just don't seem to, I mean, you don't really seem to have too much drive. Like, you have the gym and all that, but you don't really seem to have things truly figured out. So, I think that might be a bit useful. Also, actually talking about the subject of the video, I got a little obsessed with this man's crazy take, and kind of got, I'm not gonna lie, I kind of got worried about him. But, the whole take against reproduction, I can't lie, I completely disagree with, because, I mean, this is completely ignoring all the pleasures of parenthood. You're able to, like, see so many milestones from your child, and that brings you, like, it's a lot more long-term pleasure, but aside from obviously having people to take care of you when you're old and not being lonely, there's also the advantage that you get to see so many pretty moments, and children are such a joy. They might be a bit of a pain in the rear end for quite a while, but and also honestly quite a bit. They are honestly quite a bit of a pain in the rear a lot of the time, but they are very much worth it, and I don't think people understand that. I don't think people understand just like how much value a child can bring, and just how funny they are, and how cute they are, and how they are absolutely worth every ounce of every ounce of effort to take care of them. Like I would if I had a child, I would gladly do all this stuff to provide for that child, because children are special and they are important. And I mean, I can't help but feel like this is a very selfish take. Like, he's not willing to work through I mean, yeah, I can't lie. I don't think you're in any position to tell your brother, I don't think you're in the position to be a parent. I think you're right. I think his take was wrong. However, you yourself, I would argue, are in a far worse position. I mean, obviously you don't intend to have kids, right? But and I think that actually is the right position. But realistically, I don't really think you're in much of a position to be talking, man. Because I don't know what situation your brother is in, but honestly, I don't think you're. I don't even know how you're. I don't know who's taking advice from you based on this video. You really seem to be the last person on Earth that people should be taking. Not the last person on Earth. I take it back, but one of the last people that people should be taking advice from. I can't lie, your perspective is very interesting. However, I hard disagree with it. I very much hard disagree with it. But on top of that, there are actually a lot of selfless reasons for wanting to bring children into the world. For one, obviously, we want to keep humanity going, right? Like, I think the whole perspective here was like, oh, we don't want to keep suffering happening. And I will talk about that in a moment. But we want to keep humanity going so that our race doesn't die out. That's not selfish. Also, excuse me. Also, another reason, like, you want that child to be able to experience life as well, and you want them to potentially have a better life than you. Or at least, I hope that's what people want. I mean, a lot of people accidentally have children, so, you know, I'm sure a lot of people don't even really want that. But there's a lot of unselfish reasons for wanting a child. And another thing you overlook here is that not only can children be a blessing, but also all that suffering that they can go through. Suffering isn't necessarily a bad thing. I would know because like, I've been through some of it myself. Haven't we all? Have you not been through suffering that has given you benefits? I've been through physical suffering that's made me tougher. I've been through mental suffering that's made me mentally tougher. That's kind of the thing about suffering. You can use it to make yourself tougher. If you are suffering for no reason and you don't use it, then, like, obviously that suffering's bad. But suffering itself, again, like, well, I said this before, but not here. Like, in the words of Calvin's dad, suffering builds character. And character is very much worth the price of suffering. But also, not to mention all of the happy things and the good things that can happen to said child. Like, there are so many good things that can happen to that child, and not just, like, suffering. Like, you have a very pessimistic view. So I completely disagree with your perspective. I honestly don't know if you should be giving advice out, and personally, I think you probably need to get with it. You're 25, and you kind of seem to be in the position that a 19-year-old, like, honestly, if I had to choose a year to be in this position, I would choose being 19. Because then I would have time to fix things easier. But, at age 25, this should not be the case at all. I can't lie. I think you've screwed yourself over so bad. But that's all I really have to say. Remember, this is constructive criticism. Constructive criticism. So don't be mad. I'm just kidding. I don't care if you're mad. Unlike you, I'm not a snowflake. So, anyways, if anyone's still here, hope you enjoyed this stream, or the video. Anyways, don't be a snowflake, and I'll see you